train to arrive at platform 2 is the 1312 Northern service to Carlisle. Calling at Hexham, Hayden Bridge, Barden Mill, Haltwhistle, Brampton, Wetherell and Carlisle. Train is 2 carriages. The next train to arrive at platform 2 is the 1312 Northern service to Carlisle.
Part 1 left you at Prudder in the Tyne Valley, as I jumped on a train to an undisclosed destination. Unfortunately, on the previous day, my computer underwent a major update, which played havoc with my editing software. I've had to do a complete reinstall of Windows and everything else, so part 2 of the journey has been seriously delayed. I apologise. It was a very short trip to my second visit of the day, about 4 minutes, and on a very quiet train. This was one of the express services, stopping at only 4 stations between Newcastle and Carlisle. This is the third stop, and perhaps the most important. It has one rival still to be visited. All we need is a suitable train instead of the present-day diesel units, and this lovely old station would transport us back to the pre-1923 days of the North Eastern Railway.
28 Northern service to Middlesbrough. Calling at Prudder, Metro Centre, Newcastle, Sunderland, Hartlepool, Stockton, Thornaby and Middlesbrough. This train is formed of 2 carriages. The next...
If you haven't already guessed it, we're in the lovely historic market town of Hexham, on the south bank of the River Tyne. The river is formed just to the west of Hexham by the merger of the North Tyne and the South Tyne. Most of the stations which we visited along this route have been basic to say the least, but Hexham boasts a range of facilities. So I did, and enjoyed an excellent coffee and a bacon roll. Something stronger would have to wait until later in the day. This is the hourly shuttle between Newcastle and Hexham. It reverses out of the westbound platform in order to cross over onto the eastbound track before coming back into the station to pick up passengers. Running at roughly hourly intervals, trains from Middlesbrough via the Durham coast run fast between Newcastle and Carlisle, calling at just 4 intermediate stations. In between them, a service from Newcastle will stop at many of the less important places. A few early morning and late evening trains call at every station, making for a long, slow journey. Even the busier stations are but a shadow of what they were in the railway's heyday. A ticket office, the only one, I believe, between Carlisle and Newcastle. So, out into the town, and I'd forgotten just how hilly it is. Hexham Abbey, dedicated to St Andrew. Originally built in AD 674, the abbey was built up during the 12th century into its current form, with additions around the turn of the 20th century. A quarter of a century ago, I was singing with a Dumfries-based 16-strong semi-professional a cappella group, which had links with a similar choir from Teesside. Wishing to put on a joint performance at a Midway location, we booked Hexham Abbey and were sponsored by Northern Arts. Each group travelled in the morning, spent the afternoon in rehearsal, and gave an evening performance to 6 Abbey officials. No member of the public attended, as Northern Arts had advertised the wrong date. The best laid plans of mice and men. Across the square from the Abbey is England's oldest jail, now a museum, built in 1333 from the stone of the Corbridge Roman site. I visited it previously, but time is passing and I've got to get back to Carlisle for the Edinburgh Charter. First, however, a visit to the platform bar and a pint of North by Northeast. A well-kept ale, but too citrusy for my palate. A chance, however, to sit outside and watch the trains go by. That's mine, the 1708, with only one stop along the 40 miles to Carlisle.
The next train to arrive at platform 2 is the 1708 Northern service to Carlisle.
And here it comes. Next stop, the border city. If you saw part 1, you'll remember that the outward journey this morning was booked for platform 3, but at the last moment was switched to number 1, everyone's least favourite for photography. The return journey to Liverpool this evening is scheduled for platform 1. Little prospect of it being diverted into somewhere more photogenic. That must be the one we're waiting for. Here's wishing the Charter a good run back to Liverpool. It's the Scott and Brassey for me, and then the chippy across the road from the Citadel. A late train to Dumfries, an even later taxi home. Thank you for joining me in Prada and Hexham. Apologies again for the delay in uploading this part of the day. And here's to the next time.